Welcome back to Larkmeadow Cottage. Today, I thought we'd wander a little farther down the woodland path, past the wildflowers and beneath the leafy green trees, to a cottage tucked away in a quiet corner of the countryside. No one seems to remember exactly when the cottage was built. Some say it has been there for hundreds of years, slowly becoming part of the landscape around it. Others believe it appeared one morning after a particularly magical spring rain. I like to think the cottage simply decided that it wanted to be there. Before I begin painting, I like to give my little scene a place to live on the page. I'm using washi tape around the edges to create a soft border, almost like opening a tiny window into another world. And inside that window is where our story begins. The cottage sits quietly among the trees, with flowers growing wherever they can find a little patch of sunlight. Pink blossoms sway beside the path, while tiny purple flowers peek through the grass as though they're playing hide and seek with anyone who happens to walk by. I imagine a narrow garden path leading to the front door. Perhaps there's a little wooden bench beside it where someone sits in the evenings with a cup of tea and watches the sun disappear behind the trees. And maybe the windows always seem to glow warmly at dusk, even when no one remembers lighting the lamps. That's one of the things I love about imaginary places. They don't need to explain themselves. They can simply be beautiful. As the watercolor begins to fill the page, the cottage slowly settles into its surroundings. The trees become soft green shapes around it, giving the little house a feeling of shelter. The flowers bring little touches of pink and purple to the garden, as though someone has scattered handfuls of petals across the grass. I imagine that every flower has a story of its own. The pink ones might bloom whenever someone nearby is feeling especially happy. The purple ones might only open in the evening when the first stars appear overhead. And somewhere beneath the trees, there may even be a tiny path that leads to a secret garden no one has discovered yet. Perhaps the cottage belongs to someone who collects beautiful things. Pressed flowers, old teacups, smooth stones found along woodland paths, letters tied with ribbon. Little treasures that most people would walk right past without noticing. But here, nothing is too small to be treasured. As I add the little details to the painting, the cottage begins to feel less like a house and more like a home. A place where the kettle is always warm, the garden is never quite finished, and there is always room at the table for one more wandering dreamer. And maybe that's the real magic of this little cottage. It isn't hidden because it wants to keep people away. It's hidden because some places are meant to be discovered slowly. You have to wander. You have to wonder. And sometimes you simply have to stop and look a little closer. And now it's time for my favorite part. The washi tape comes away, revealing the little world that has been waiting underneath. It's always satisfying to see that clean border appear, almost like opening the frame around a tiny story. And there it is. A quiet cottage among the trees, surrounded by pink and purple flowers, waiting patiently at the end of a woodland path. Perhaps someday we'll wander there again. Until then, thank you for spending a little time with me here at Larkmeadow Cottage. May you always find a little beauty along the path, a little magic in the ordinary, and somewhere peaceful to call home.